Game of Thrones finished 6 years ago, and the ending still sucks. Really bad. At this point, it's household knowledge to know that the ending of Game of Thrones is one of the worst endings to a show in history. However, I've only just watched the show, 15 years after it aired. Jesus Christ. So I wanted to dive into where Game of Thrones went wrong, but specifically at what point did each character get ruined. And there's a lot of them. So buckle in. Starting with Jon Snow. Jon has been in my top 3 favourite characters, and he is the most pivotal character in the entire show. Or at least, he could have been. In my opinion, Jon Snow is ruined the minute his mother's origin is revealed. Hot take, I know, but this is where the decline starts. Although it doesn't truly set in until much later. But we'll get to that in a second. The problem with Jon's reveal being that he is Lyanna's son is that it strips away any authenticity Jon has had in the recent story. What I mean by this is we just saw Jon representing the last of the Starks in the Battle of the Bastards, fighting for his sister. He's avenging his brother Robb, who died by the hand of Roose Bolton, and lastly, fighting for their home that was overtaken. Only for the next scene to reveal he's not Ned's son. Sansa isn't his sister, and his real father is... My first thought when his reveal happened was, who cares? I feel like it would have been much better to reveal Rhaegar was his dad in that scene, and how he is the heir to the Iron Throne.
I don't want to die.
Get us some water.
No water, just
Is there a mace there?
Listen to me, Ned.
Is mine. From this day until the end of my days.
Is Aegon Targaryen. You have to protect him. Promise me, Ned.
He's never been a bastard. He's the heir to the Iron Throne.
Yes, the editing is a little botched, but I think that is a lot better. This would have added a lot more significance to the reveal and be able to set up and build hype for Season 7 and Jon's character going forward. I know a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine because it's not like they did anything with it anyways. Fuck's sakes. But hey, at least Jon's storyline of the White Walkers and him reuniting with the Wildlings is all going to pay off when he kills... What? I cannot explain to you how mad I was that Jon not only didn't kill the Night King, but he didn't even fight him? Jon's entire storyline was leading up to that moment, and it all just became redundant. David and Dan have stated that
We hope to kind of avoid the expected.
which I can understand. However, you cannot just defy an entire storyline that you have built up to just for the purpose of making it surprising. That would literally be like if Tormund killed Ramsay. It would make no sense. But going back, I think Jon's character is fully ruined the moment he meets Daenerys. Every single factor that made Jon an interesting character is watered down the minute he heads south. To put it simple, he's just boring. Jon has always been a man of leadership and endurance, and we can see this throughout seasons 1 to 6. But as soon as Daenerys saves his life, he spends more time bowing on his knees than fucking Bonnie Blue. And you can tell the writers genuinely didn't know what to do with his dialogue scenes, so they just spammed the same 2 lines.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. You are my queen. You are my queen. About my queen. And you will always be my queen. You are my queen. She is my queen.
But they never actually explain why?
I don't want it.
Why not? You know damn well you'd make a great leader, and you have the perfect qualifications for it, and Daenerys can still be the queen. So what's the problem? It's like this one scene in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Holt has to confront Amy about why she's avoiding to run for a leadership role, even though she'd be the best candidate.
We're royally screwing up. Stop trying to tank this election. You know damn well you'd make a great union rep.
That's all they needed, just a scene like that with Sir Davos or something. I don't know. Ruined. 7 out of 10. Moving on to Bran Stark. Now, Bran is my least favorite character in the entire show. He just does absolutely nothing. I feel like the moment he gets ruined is as soon as his hand comes in contact with that tree, and he becomes a three-eyed raven. Bran has always been hyped up as an anomaly in the story, and for 6 seasons, him and many characters have been striving for Bran to reach his destiny. And when he finally does, he becomes less communicative than Hodor.
Hold on.
Like, this guy doesn't even have the emotional capacity to thank the people for giving their lives for him.
Hodor and Summer died for you. I almost died for you.
Bro! But hey, his journey is complete, he has reached his goal, and now he's the most powerful person in the entire show. And what does he do with it? Nothing! I don't even understand why the writers made him emotionless. It just rips away every opportunity at adding depth to a scene. Especially when you're about to make Bran reunite with family members whom he hasn't seen or heard about in years. Like, the first three-eyed raven had emotions. So why doesn't Bran? Instead, his only use is sitting around making googly eyes at people and telling his sister she looked gorgeous on a night she was... Okay, let me get back on track. Bran had the most potential out of any character in the entire show to do something cool, but he never did. We were never shown the length of his powers and their significance despite there being many opportunities to.
I'm going to go now.
The fuck where? His journey became in vain, and everyone that died for him no longer matters. Like Hodor. And every question is still left unanswered. It feels like the writers were either so bored of writing him, or they didn't want to do anything creative. Actually, it's definitely both. All they had to do was just make Bran do something cool in the Long Night. As you know, that's where his story has been leading to, but he does nothing. Doesn't walk into a dragon, or walk into the army of the dead, or even go back in time to change the course or trajectory of the entire fight. But no, the writers didn't want to do anything risky, so he walks into a crow for no reason, and gives the Night King the mean eyes until someone saves his crippled ass. And then he becomes king. Ruined, 7 out of 10. Okay, next up is Jaime Lannister. And honestly, Jaime stays pretty solid all the way into the later seasons. Until the writers picked up his ass and threw him in the garbage with one line. What I think every Game of Thrones fan can agree on is that Jaime was done the worst. And that's crazy because his character was one of the hardest to mess up. Yet they still managed it. To properly outline how badly they did Jaime, we need to first address why Jaime's character arc was one of the best in the entire show. Jaime is a very complex character, whom at first comes off as a cocky piece of shit that doesn't care about anything apart from banging his sister. But the more time you spend with him, the more you realize he's not selfish at all. He actually sacrificed everything. His reputation, his honor, his whole identity to save thousands of innocent people from the Mad King. And the bathhouse scene where he admits it completely flips him from a villain to a hero in the audience's eyes. It makes us believe that Jaime does actually care for the innocent.
Never really cared much for them, innocent or otherwise.
This line is unreal. It destroys everything we learnt about him. It goes against the one thing that defined who Jaime really was and what his story was built on. The fact that he did care, and that caring is what cost him his honor and he'd still do it again. This line takes the biggest reason the audience learned to respect him and throws it out the window. What makes it worse is that Jaime said that line during a moment where he was supposed to show how much he'd grown. Instead, it made him sound like the same selfish guy that he was, except without any of the depth. It's actually genuinely impressive how one sentence can wipe out years of complex character development. This is the moment Jaime's character is ruined. Right there and then. Now, what if I told you there's another half of this character's destruction? Like, this wasn't already bad enough. That other half is, why did Jaime go back for Cersei? What was the point of this dude's journey? The other side of his arc was about breaking free from Cersei, realizing she's a terrible person and that she has a detrimental impact on him. When he left Cersei to help the North fight the dead, I was really satisfied, as it showed progression of his character because he was able to walk away from Cersei. That was perfect growth. Then he fucks Brienne, leaves her crying to go die under some rocks? What kind of writing is that? Were you even trying? Jaime is the only one destined to kill Cersei, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Not Arya, not Daenerys, not Falling Bricks, but Jaime. that would have ended his character in the most satisfying way. Poor Jaime, man. Ruined 10 out of 10. Let's move on to Arya Stark. Arya is Game of Thrones' #1 shining star. She's featured in video games, Funko Pops, hell, even Drake mentioned her in one of his speeches.
Shout out to Arya Stark for putting in that work last week. Hey.
Wait a minute. Now, despite Arya being so popular amongst the media, she's just such a dull and annoying character the moment she leaves Bravos. Yes, I know, the Faceless Men storyline is as entertaining as dog shit, but at least it had a cool and rewarding conclusion, if you ignore the plot armor. And it finally made me excited to watch what she does next. However, she then teleports across the globe, slimes Walder Frey, which is pretty cool, teleports to Winterfell, and spends the next 3 episodes telling everyone how cool and hard she is.
Who else is on your list?
Most of them are dead already.
I didn't run. You need better guards.
The Game of Faces didn't turn out so well for the last person who asked me questions.
I know death. Guess I've changed.
I am celebrating.
Your list?
Of people I'm going to kill.
She even has the nerve to ask Brienne for a one-on-one like she's John fucking Wick. As if she thought she could... What the fuck? You're telling me she washes a couple of bodies, trains with a wooden pole, and kills one Terminator-looking bitch in the dark, and that gave her the facilities to beating Brienne of fucking Tarth, who's been fighting her entire life and beat the Hound in one-on-one combat. What a joke. Anyway, Arya then spends the next couple of episodes beefing with her sister for literally no reason, to which she claims,
I would have let them kill me before I betrayed my family.
It would be at this point where I explain the arc for this character and what direction or conclusion they were supposed to be heading towards. However, Arya kinda completes all of that come the end of season 6, and any direction this character is meant to be taking from there is very unclear. I mean, they try with a whole revenge plot, but at no point do I ever buy into it, and it just feels hollow and forced. I feel like her destiny was killing Walder Frey, and once she had done that, that is where her character should have just been a supporting role. But no, the writers had to make her kill the Night King for no reason, despite her storyline having no connection at all. Here's a question: what would be better symbolism? The Lord of Light releasing Johns from the fate of death to unite the people and kill the Night King? Or one line from season 2 where the Red Woman says she's going to close Blue Eyes. I mean, come on. I think it's also worth mentioning that Arya has the stupidest lines in the whole show in my opinion.
And I know a killer when I see one.
Lady Stark?
Which Lady Stark? She's the smartest person I've ever met.
Meanwhile, I don't know anything about battles, just VS2.
When will we have a larger force? We've pleaded with...
She's the smartest person I've ever met.
My absolute favourite though is when Arya and Sansa are communicating their distrust for Daenerys. For no reason, by the way. Jon then points out the obvious, being that they needed her, or they'd be dead without her, to which Arya agrees.
We needed her. We needed her army. Her dragons. You did the right thing.
However, later on in the conversation, Jon states that if you don't trust anyone outside of your family, you won't make it very far. To which Arya then says,
That's alright. I don't need many allies.
Bitch, what? Didn't you just say that the alliance with Daenerys saved yours and everyone's life, and now having her as an ally was crucial? But then 30 seconds later, you claim you don't need many allies? Like, what? And if Arya is only talking about how she specifically doesn't need many allies, then she's just delusional. What about the Hound who saved your life countless times and got you Needle back? What about Gendry? What about the Faceless Man? And there's many others who helped Arya. Arya goes off on one solo adventure and thinks she can take on the entire world. However, I don't think she's as ruined as bad as the others. Her fight scenes are pretty cool to watch, and the segment of her running through King's Landing whilst Daenerys is going crazy on it is the best part about that episode. And at least she has emotions unlike her fucking brother. Ruined, 5 out of 10. Now it's the GOAT Tyrion Lannister's time. To demonstrate how special this character is, most people affiliate Tyrion's trial in Season 4 is Game of Thrones' peak. Even though I disagree, this moment encapsulates everything that was special about Tyrion. He says what the viewer is thinking. He's a hero amidst a city of villains, and he has to weave his way around the politics to do what's right. And he still doesn't reap any of the rewards, so he kills Tywin and leaves. This moment also shows his strong resilience, given he's able to resist the Lannister DNA and not family member in a vulnerable state. But no, seriously, Tyrion's character is ruined once he leaves King's Landing at the end of Season 4. Which is tragic, given one of the best characters is ruined the earliest out of any other character. Tyrion put all of his stat points into aura and intellect, but forgot about his height. Come Season 5 and he traded his intellect points for a beard, and it shows. Tyrion is fucking useless from now on. I have to scour my brain so hard to think of one impactful thing Tyrion does for the rest of the show, and I genuinely can't. This is coming from a character who ran King's Landing politics like it was the tutorial level. But now, he can't give helpful advice for the life of him.
Despite appearances, I think you'll find the city's on the rise.
As Tyrion was ruined so early on, it's very hard to place where his character's arc was going. He literally just stays handed a queen for the rest of the show, and he fucking sucks at it. If you told me Tyrion did a better job as Hand of the King to Joffrey than Daenerys, I would have laughed in your face.
Hi, my name is Cherry Bomb, and I fight for all the single moms out there that don't get the respect they deserve.
Let's do this! I am dangerous!
The one that irks me the most, though, is Tyrion keeps trying to talk to Cersei. Have you forgotten when Oberyn explained in detail that Cersei wanted to kill you the moment you came into the world? This is the point. He should have been done with Cersei and acknowledged she's a monster with a lost cause. But nope, he constantly tries to reason with her, and wouldn't you know, it fails. Every single time. The most amount of internal conflicts Tyrion has come Season 5 is his complicated relationship with Jaime, and that's it. No depth, no themes, and his only purpose is serving his hand, which he sucks at. Tyrion is meant to be the black sheep wherever he is, because that's what he's been painted out as his entire life. But they turn him into one of the worst supporting characters in the entire show, and he had every opportunity given to him. They didn't make Arya a supporting character, but they made Tyrion? Ultimately, Tyrion is incredibly forgettable past Season 4. His intelligence is hardly ever shown again, and he lacks a place within the story. They could have just killed Tyrion here and replaced him with another character, and I genuinely wouldn't have noticed. That's how much his defining traits were watered down, and it hurts. Ruined, 9 out of 10. Last but not least, we have Daenerys Targaryen. Now with Daenerys, it's really tricky to determine a specific point where her character was ruined. She didn't lose her personality, she didn't lose her purpose or goals, but I think Daenerys' character can be summed up with the two words, lost potential. The opportunities for her character's conclusion were endless, and the writers chose the worst one. As sad as it is, the cause for the dismantling of Daenerys' character is just bad writing, and it becomes crystal clear right here. She had absolutely no reason to go batshit crazy, at least not in this moment. Oh my god, look Daenerys, the city has surrendered, we won, King's Landing is yours! This is a good ending done in a bad way. They never laid the seeds for this type of ending and expected it to be right just because she suffered some loss. Doing an ending where a pivotal character goes from good to evil is a lot of work and is a big task. It requires lingering signs and traits of this earlier in the journey, and that's the problem with this ending. Daenerys has been shown to be nothing but kind literally every scene she's in seasons 1 to 7. She constantly looks after the well-being of her advisors and the innocents. She wants to take the Iron Throne, but wants to limit the absolute most amount of casualties as possible, and break the cycle. That's why it took her so long even when she got to the mainland. They even show her being kind and empathetic 2 scenes before she loses her shit. At this point, you'd think this character should be making no effort into being empathetic, even to mask her true intentions from the people around her. She should show signs that she's made up her mind that she's about to burn a city with zero remorse. This does not look like that. This sudden transition here goes against all of her character's established themes as a kind and caring leader. Her development could have gone in any direction, but the path she was on come season 8 pointed at her taking King's Landing calmly and ruling right. Hell, she is so kind, I was convinced there's a chance she let Jon have the throne due to his rightful heir to it. What I find super funny is when Daenerys is done with genocide and killing children, she calmly says to Jon that if other people want to make changes, they don't get to choose. This is coming from the same person who did meet and greets of Marine with the civilians like it was Minecon 2015. This sudden shift ruins the character in the worst way. It affects it so much. I feel bad for Emilia Clarke because she looks so upset in the interviews to the point she can't hide her disappointment. Ruined, 10 out of 10. That was Game of Thrones ruining 6 beloved characters like they meant nothing. Originally I was going to make this video include Cersei, Brienne and Sansa, but their characters are only subtly ruined and not completely, and also... I will touch on these characters slightly, however. Sansa is ruined because she's an obnoxious bitch for no reason once she starts ruling Winterfell. Cersei just becomes a generic villain and seems to have no goals other than killing everyone just because she doesn't like them. No, I am not buying into that baby plotline with fucking... I forget his name, he's so irrelevant. Brienne is just kind of redundant once she comes into Sansa's aid. Sansa's dumbass sends one of their best warriors off to another place shortly before the most important fight of their life, and Brienne ends up getting nothing accomplished. I see people saying the show dropped off after season 4, which is correct, however season 5 and 6 are still phenomenal. I've seen someone say season 6 is only good because it has payoffs. Well, lucky it has payoffs then, mate. That's like going to buy a house and saying, oh, this house would suck if it didn't have any living rooms or bedrooms. No shit, it's like the entire point of a house is to have living room and bedrooms. It's the same thing, every story would suck without payoffs. Well anyway, I just want to point out how good Game of Thrones was seasons 1 to 6, and it's really sad that the show went this downhill. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.